The Catholic Church has had a written doctrine on industrial-era labor since 1891. As of May 15th, 2026, it has one on artificial intelligence. The new document is called Magnifica Humanitas, and the subtitle is The Whole Point: Safeguarding the Human Person in the Time of Artificial Intelligence. Pope Leo XIV is the new pope. This is his first encyclical, and it is on the most consequential technology of our generation. And he picked the name Leo on purpose. 135 years ago, another Leo, Leo XIII, wrote an encyclical called Rerum Novarum, Rerum Novarum, New Things. It was the church's response to the Industrial Revolution. Factory floors, 12-hour shifts, children in mills. Leo XIII wrote on labor and capital. Leo XIV has written on labor and code. That is not a coincidence. That is the name on the door. The encyclical is organized around two images from Scripture. The first is Babel. A people decided to build a tower with its top in the heavens. A single language, a single technology, a single direction. The Pope quotes the original goal in paragraph 7, and I am reading the words in his own quotation marks, to make a name for themselves. And the result he reports is also, quote, paragraph 7, communication breaks down, languages are confused, people no longer understand each other. That is image 1. Image 2 is Nehemiah. After Babel came exile. After exile, the city of Jerusalem in ruins. A man named Nehemiah was given permission to come home and rebuild. And the first thing Nehemiah did, according to the encyclical's paragraph 8, was examine the destroyed areas in silence. He didn't impose solutions from above. He convened the families. He assigned each of them a section of the wall. Men, women, priests, artisans, heads of households, young people, each one a section of the wall. That is image 2. Here is how the Pope frames the choice. Paragraph 9 in his own quotation marks. The primary choice is not between a yes or no to technology. It is between constructing Babel or rebuilding Jerusalem. And in the same paragraph, 4 words you should bookmark. Technology is never neutral. It takes on the characteristics of the people who devise it, the people who finance it, the people who regulate it, and the people who use it. So the question the encyclical puts to every engineer, every CISO, every founder, every regulator is not, is AI good or bad? It is, and so what are you building, and whose name is on it? Chapter 3 of the encyclical is titled Technology and Dominance. And the subtitle is the line of writing that earned this document its name, The Grandeur of Humanity in Light of the Promises of AI. The chapter opens by picking up an idea Pope Francis named in Laudato Si, 11 years ago, the technocratic paradigm. Pope Leo defines it in paragraph 92, in his own words, quote, the tendency to let the logic of efficiency, control, and profit alone shape personal, social, and economic decisions. 3 words, efficiency, control, profit. When that triplet takes over, technology stops being a tool. It becomes the standard by which everything else is judged. It begins to dictate what matters and what can be discarded, reducing creation to an object of exploitation, and human beings to mere cogs in a system driven toward ever greater efficiency. That is the warning. The next paragraph delivers the diagnostic. Paragraph 93, quote, more power does not necessarily imply something better. He cites Romano Guardini, a German theologian who watched the 20th century weaponize itself in real time. Guardini's line, picked up by the encyclical, is the one to remember. Contemporary man has not been trained to use power well. Every AI keynote you sit through is a claim that we have more power. Almost none of them are a claim that we have been trained to use it well. Paul VI saw this coming in 1967. Paragraph 94 quotes him directly. The most extraordinary scientific progress, the most astounding technical feats, unless accompanied by authentic moral and social progress, will, in the long run, go against man. Or in 4 words, the encyclical compresses the whole worry into having more without being more. That is the bottom line for chapter 3. If you only take one diagnostic question into your next planning meeting, that is it. Is what we are building helping us be more, or just have more? The next section of chapter 3 is titled, What Must Not Be Lost. The encyclical names 2 intellectual currents the church is watching carefully: transhumanism, the project of upgrading the human into something else, and posthumanism, the project of dissolving the human as a category. Smart people inside both schools believe they are reducing suffering. The encyclical's response is the same to both. The grandeur of the human person is not a problem to be solved. Our limits are not bugs to be patched. Weakness is not the opposite of dignity. Paragraph 12 already told us why, quote, true fulfillment is not achieved by eliminating weakness, but through harmonious growth, where freedom and responsibility are intertwined with mutual care and true solidarity. That is not a description of the algorithmic incentive of any platform I can name. The chapter closes with a section titled 2 Cities and 2 Loves. That phrase is Augustine, from The City of God, written around 426. Augustine's argument, very compressed, Every civilization is built by a love. The earthly city is built by the love of self, ending in contempt of God. The city of God is built by the love of God, ending in contempt of self. Two cities, same world, different loves. The Pope's question is built into the framing. Which city are the systems we ship building? The answer is in the code. The answer is in the roadmap. The answer is in the quarterly review. It is not mainly in the press release. Chapter 5, in the culture of power and the civilization of love. This is the chapter that will get the least coverage and the most argument. The Pope's table of contents lists in order the section headings inside Chapter 5, and there is no euphemism in any of them. The normalization of war, force without limits, and in the encyclical's own table of contents, weapons and artificial intelligence. The real Ron Gula has spent his whole career in this industry. He built tools that find adversaries before adversaries find us. He takes the threat side of this work seriously, and the encyclical is not naive about that. It still names explicitly a section called a supposed political realism. Because the church has watched for 2,000 years what happens when the word realism becomes the permission slip for everything, and it has watched in the last 100 years how quickly an autonomous weapon stops being a tool and starts being a decision. The encyclical's response in Chapter 5 is not pacifism, it is something harder. These are the section titles in the order the Pope publishes them. Disarm the words, build peace through justice, adopt the perspective of the victims, cultivate a healthy realism, revive dialogue, and restore diplomacy and multilateralism. If you build defensive cyber tools, that is the doctrine. Read it. If you build offensive cyber tools, that is especially the doctrine. Read it twice. If you sell AI into the defense procurement pipeline, there is a Pope in 2026 asking you in writing to slow down long enough to consider who is on the other end of the kill chain. That is not a small thing to ignore. The request is not do not build. The request is be the kind of person who can be trusted to build. Before Nehemiah rebuilt anything, he examined the destroyed areas in silence. That is the discipline the encyclical is asking from technologists. Look at what we have actually built, honestly, quietly, without the deck. And then paragraph 13, get to work, quote, all are given their own section of the wall. The Pope lists by name who is being assigned a section. Scientists, researchers, entrepreneurs, workers, educators, legislators, civil society, popular movements, faith communities. Each of us has a section of the wall. Paragraph 14 names the standards we use to check that we are building the right wall. Dignity of the human person, universal destination of goods, preferential option for the poor, care for our common home, and peace. And then the practices, responsible planning, assessment of human and social impact, not just business impact, inclusion of the most vulnerable, promotion of digital literacy, and the orientation of research and industry toward justice and peace. Those are not abstractions. Those are review questions for your roadmap. One last receipt about the name, Magnifica Humanitas. Magnifica is the first word of Mary's song in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verses 46 through 55, the Magnificat. My soul magnifies the Lord. The Magnificat is a song that lifts up the lowly and brings down the proud. It is, in a sense, an anti-Babel song. It is exactly the song the technocratic paradigm does not sing. And the Pope naming his first encyclical on AI with that opening word of the Magnificat is telling us very deliberately which grandeur he is talking about. Not the grandeur of the tower, the grandeur of the human person made in the image of God, working alongside other persons on a wall that is being rebuilt. I'm Viron. The Pope just gave us our section of the wall. If this was useful, like and subscribe and drop a comment. Which section of the wall are you building? We'll see you next time.